What's up guys, Jason here. Welcome back to our home office remodel. We have got the wall built, framed out, painted. We are at the stage now where we're going to be installing baseboard. And I'm going to show you guys today how to install your baseboard without a compound miter saw, because those things run about $350, $400. A lot of homeowners don't have those. So I'm going to show you guys another way of doing your baseboard that won't involve a compound miter saw. Some tools we're going to need. Obviously our tape measure, so we can measure out our baseboard. We'll need a coping saw, a speed square, some medium sandpaper, about 100 grit sandpaper, a skill saw down here, and with these tools, we'll be able to install baseboard and have a nice professional finish. So there's two ways of cutting our baseboard, guys. The first way is mitering our ends, doing 245s, and then sliding the boards together. The problem with the two mitered ends is you need a compound miter saw, which I spoke about earlier, about $350, $400 for a decent one. Most homeowners don't want to invest that kind of money in one. So the second way is coping. So if you look at our end here, instead of having the 45 finish, this is a coped finish. Once you cope it, it slides into a flat finish and gives you a nice tight joint. The benefit of this joint is, a lot of times if your walls are at a square, whenever you miter the walls, the ends won't line up. With a coped end, no matter how bad the walls are at a square, the ends will always line up. So I'm going to show you. Okay guys, so I've got a piece of baseboard. I went ahead and took my skill saw and just cut a 45 on it. And I'm gonna start my coping right here. I'm right-handed, so I always start on the right side of the baseboard with the baseboard facing me, and I work to the left. So we'll cope the right side and we'll leave the left side square. And I'll show you guys how that works once we start installing it. But we're gonna take our coping saw. Coping saws are really cool. They're adjustable. You can take the handle off and turn the blade around to have it kind of fit whichever way you hold it the best. So once we get our end cut at a 45, we want to just take our coping saw, and all we're doing is tracing down our cut line with the saw. So we'll follow the cut line, and that'll cut us down into the grooves, around, and give us the profile to match our baseboard. Now, whenever you start the coping saw, what I recommend is, you see the teeth are facing that way. So what you want to do is go against the grain of the teeth and just run a couple of little starting. And that'll get you a groove to get going in, if you can see the little groove there. The purpose of that groove is, it'll help keep your chipping down to a minimum. This baseboard is pretty soft stuff, and if you go too fast with it at the beginning, you'll chip a lot of the baseboard out, and you don't want to do that. So start off kind of slow, get your line going, then once you get it going, you can see how it's already kind of chipped. Once you get it going, you can pick up speed with it. Now with this baseboard, you don't have to get these curves exact with this coping saw. Just get it pretty close, and then we'll finish with the sandpaper. So I'll show you how to do that. And you can just kind of use saw just to chip away a little bit. And then we'll finish it with our sandpaper here. And like I said, this coarse grit sandpaper, about 100 grit, is really nice to finish this off with because it cuts through it pretty fast, but not too fast where you mess up your angle. So I really like this 100 grit sandpaper. And obviously, the farther off you are on your coping cut, the more sanding you gotta do. And as you cut more and more of them, you'll find you get closer and closer and a little better with your coping saw. But it's okay to be a little off at first, because you're gonna find that you finish most of it with your sandpaper anyway. And it gives you a nice little finish. And if you think as you've cut, you can get a little closer with your coping saw. The good thing about it, it's such a tiny tooth little saw that you can come in and make minor adjustments with it to kind of help you get that little bit extra out. Just be very careful, especially once you get into these tiny curves, because you can chip that out pretty quickly. So once you get it to this point, what I like to do is I always cut off just a blank, about a 4-inch blank that I can use to just kind of sample match up. So I know I've got to take this down quite a bit, this little notch here, but everything else is lining up pretty nicely. So once I take this notch down, should be a nice tight fit. There are also 2 other tools that if you happen to have are very nice, but a side grinder works really well at taking these little notches out. So if you happen to have one, not a lot of homeowners have a side grinder on hand, but if you do, very nice tool just to help get these last little touches done and get it where it finishes out nice and clean. So we've got the end coat. So I went and measured how far we need it. We need it at 174 7/8. From there, I take my makeshift table here. I'm sure you guys will have your own makeshift table y'all use. Measure out 174 7/8. And like I said, on the opposite end of our coat end, we want to just cut it square. feed square. Got my 174 7/8 marked. Anytime you're using a power tool, always wear safety glasses of some sort to protect your eyeballs. So like I said, with baseboard, I always cope on the right and square on the left. Now in this situation, we're running to a door jamb, but ideally you would want to run this into a corner of a wall. It would run into the wall and then you would cope right into it again. So this time we're coping in here. So you slide and cope in again. And bring her to the wall.